Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and I'm pretty excited today because tomorrow I've got my new building delivered. The part I'm not excited about is the pad's not really ready. It was level at one point, but I've done some work up here and now it's kind of wavy and it needs to be perfectly level and well packed. So I'm out here today to try to get that done. I've got my friend Billy here and we've got a kind of a partnership here where he's gonna do all the work. I'm gonna take all the credit. So it should work out pretty well. First thing we'll do is stake off the corners, measure everything, go corner to corner, make sure we know where the wall is gonna set, and then we'll get the transit out, start marking, finding out where the high and low spots are, and try to get it all graded. Today's project seemed really straightforward. You knock down the high spots, you fill in the low spots, check everything with the transit, and we are ready for block tomorrow. But that's not at all how this day went. We actually came across a major problem, and we're not even going to be able to set the building where we wanted it. I do think we found a good solution to work around this problem, but it really ruined my morning.
How much higher does that need to be?
Where?
Here in the middle.
It's still 3 or 4 inches low. So I've set everything off of this corner right here. This corner and that corner are level. We have a spot in the middle between them. It's about 4 inches low. And then this corner up here is about 4 inches high. So we need to take material from here and move over to the center of this run. I've had Billy come over and help me with a few different projects, and what I figured out is he's got a pretty good skill set for doing tractor work, and if he's more efficient at doing this, then while he's here, he's going to be the one doing it, because I have plenty of time to practice on my own, but when I've got help here, I want to take advantage of that. So he's working his way around, and I'm following along behind him and checking grade. And at this point, everything's going pretty well until I stepped back and was kind of watching the tires as he went over the low spots and started to get a little bit concerned about what I was seeing. At this point, I stopped Billy, jumped in the tractor, and I wanted him to see what I was seeing. And that's essentially that even though I layered the rock into these trenches, and I compacted each layer, it still wasn't as firm as it should be, and we were squishing water out as we drove over it. Alright guys, we ran into a pretty major problem here. This was a high spot, and we need to come in and scoop some dirt out right here to move to that side. But when we did, water came up to the surface, and that's just not going to work. This trench was full of water, and I used the backhoe to dig all the mud out of the bottom of this. Now I filled it in with rock, and I compacted the rock as I was going, and it's just, all the water's running to that. So we're gonna shift the building over 2 feet that way, and the spot where the building was gonna go is now gonna be a drain line. So we're gonna dig this footing out right here. We're gonna put in a drain line that runs all the way around the building. So right next to it, all 4 sides, I'm gonna have a drain line. That moves us from where I excavated onto dirt that was already here and is fully compacted. So I feel like this is a more solid place to put it anyway, and I feel pretty good about the plan. So we're gonna move both of these walls over 2 feet and start putting in drain lines. Deciding to dig a drain line right where our original footings were going to go seemed like it's going to solve the problem, and I'm really happy with that solution. The only problem is it's a little bit tricky to dig a drain line right there because of this steep bank right up against it. So to dig it with the backhoe, the tractor would be sitting at a pretty funky angle, and the solution that Billy came up with was to put the right side tires of the tractor up onto the bank just slightly, then use the hydraulic tilt cylinder to angle the box blade at a pretty steep angle in the opposite direction and then drive down it. There's a lot of different ways to accomplish the same task, but I felt like this was working pretty well. Really, the only obstacle that we had on this plan is how soft the ground was right here, and that every time he dug the trench, it would kind of smash back in. As I look at this footage while editing the video, it doesn't look like we have created a ditch at all there, but we have. It's quite a bit lower in this little depression we made, and it slopes away from where the camera is, so the further down you go, the deeper it is.
I think so too, because you don't want water off all this running over here where you're going to be trying to do work.
And then the other one, I'll still put the other drain in, but that'll be for water that lands over there.
Yeah.
So where I'm sitting right now is where the wall of the building was supposed to be. But I was already thinking I'd like to have some drainage on this side, so I'm kind of glad it's worked out this way. Now the wall of the building will be over another 2 feet. Right here we're only 6 inches below grade, but it slopes down, and at the other end we're a foot below grade or more. So what I'm gonna do now is put down my fabric and the pipe, fill it full of rock, and fold it over. Tomorrow I'm setting block in here, and then I'm gonna fill almost to the height of that block. It's 2 foot tall block. All of this is gonna be filled in so that I don't have this slope right next to the building. I also didn't like this slope being so steep next to the building, because how would you mow right here if you have a wall and a slope like this? So now I'll have a flat spot and then a shorter slope, and I'm gonna taper that slope off at the top. So overall, I think that this is a lot better, but it requires me to raise grade on that end another 4 or 5 inches, because where that wall is gonna sit, we had started to slope down a little bit. So Billy's getting clay from down by the pond, and he's building up this side, and I'm gonna start putting the pipe in right here.
Alright, that sits right there. Now I'm gonna unfold it.
We actually thought we were only going to need a few bucketfuls of dirt to bring the other side up to grade, so it was completely level. But once we shifted the walls over 2 feet, that put the other wall where we had started to slope down, and the entire thing needed to be raised about 8 inches. So at that point, it justified using the dump trailer to bring up more material per trip. Luckily, we still have all this clay left from the pond. Raising the other side just continued to take more dirt than we thought, and we decided maybe if we could shave an inch or two off this side and pull it to the other side, that would make it a lot easier. Unfortunately, or I guess really fortunately, the dirt on this side is completely flat and it's packed rock hard. And we finally decided that this side was graded so well, it was better just to leave it alone. And just keep bringing dirt up from the pond. Alright, well, I hope that the video I recorded today showed the work that was done, but I'm on my way now to pick up a skid steer because the new building is being delivered tomorrow at 2 p.m. and it weighs 3,000 pounds. And then also tomorrow I'm getting 20 blocks, concrete blocks, 6 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, and they each weigh 3,600 pounds. So I can't lift any of that with the tractor. I can't move them around. So I'm gonna get a skid steer out here. I'll use the skid steer to do the final grading on this section we raised and to make sure it's packed down well. And this time tomorrow we should have our block wall in place, and hopefully by this time the next day we've got half a building standing up. We'll find out, but I appreciate you taking time to watch. You should see more of our videos right here, and I'll see you next time.